Hello, everyone. Thank you to listen. I goofed already. That's hilarious.
Oh
Hello,
no.
everyone. Thank you for listening and watching the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast. We have extremely special guest today, Zack Cherry, and we're going to talk about Macabre, the movie, and some other things. So, first of all, how are you, Zach?
Pretty damn good. How about you, Joe?
Pretty damn good. I love that.
Yeah.
Same, yeah. It's things are going, things are working, music and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. But
Amazing.
onto a more positive topic. Well, no, they're both positive, but onto a different topic,
All
Macabre.
right.
Let's talk about your movie, which we are proud
Right.
backers of.
Yes, you are. Thank you very much for that, by the way. Yes. So, currently in pre-production on a movie called Macabre. It is a horror short that I am putting together with my co-writer, co-director Eric Champney, and a slew of other lovely, very talented people. And this is a concept that Eric and I actually came up with almost 3 years ago now. And I really do have to credit Eric for being the persistent one here and lighting a fire under me to write this, because for 2 years it was just sort of like almost like this running joke that we would have of just like, oh, that's something we can save it for the movie. And then it was like this conversation came up one day, like, well, why are we dancing around this? Like, let's actually commit to it. Let's write the movie. So we started to do that. And the partway through of that process, we kind of realized that, this is a huge, I don't want to call it a battle or an uphill battle, but it's like there's a lot of components to it. Like, you can't just like one day like, ta-da, here's a movie. There's a lot that you have to do to kind of get the proper attention onto it so you could make the feature length movie that you want to do. So we decided that we were going to just do a proof of concept short film, which would essentially be the opening scene of the movie, and that we're going to do uh, just make sure that we refine the script for just that first 13 pages or whatever, film everything, get get into the festival circuit, get all that, and then from there, have the proper attention to show people like, this is what we could do, this is what we're capable of. And in order to, like, the first step in order to do this was to crowdfund. So we had a Kickstarter campaign which ran last month in August, and we were able to raise just over $50,000 through Kickstarter and private
Wow.
donations that people had given us. And yeah, thank you very much to everyone who supported that, because it was it wasn't a lot of people, but it really added up, and it just is a testament to the the, the people who want to see this happen, like, just like how much they wanted to give to it just to get it off the floor. So really happy for all of that, like, really grateful, and now we get to, I guess, return on that investment and do something really special for them. So that's kind of where we're at right now, just getting all the pieces together.
Hey, and if you look at it, all of the most successful franchises started with a little short. Saw is one of them, for example.
Right, yeah.
I mean, Lights Out started with a little short, and that's a great movie. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it right, and that's why we're happy to back it. It's something that it's been your dream the whole time. Clearly, just based on the way you make these Who Killed Who videos for the Scream movies, clearly you have an
Right.
intent to be a filmmaker. You have the whole time. It's just finally you're actually doing it, and look, it rewarded you. You guys kickstarted $50,000. That like never happens, man. Seriously, for
Mm-hmm.
independent projects to that level, and unless it's something that the people see as a passion project, and a lot of people watch you. So I think that it's known, and I appreciate that you used your platform to promote it. That's smart. That's the smartest thing you could have done. So that's all awesome. I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to see the full movie too.
Yeah.
And I'm happy
Oh,
that we
thank
had a
you
part
for
in it.
that. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, I never really thought of myself as like, like those videos, the Scream ones, of just sort of like looking at them and thinking like, oh, like, what if I directed this? Like I've had those like ideas of just like, what should have been done, or, this and that. And that, like, it never really equated me that with me of just like that I would want to do that. It was more of just like, come on, like this is an easy fix here and there. And that was more just like me being critical, and which I am. I can judge a movie, and sometimes people agree with me and sometimes they don't, but I'm glad that I finally get the opportunity to hone in on those skills and use it for my own project.
I love that. That is absolutely great. That literally just made my day, hearing all that. And I think that honestly, the fact that it's found its audience already, you're gonna do good with it. It's gonna do what it needs to do. I mean,
Yeah.
with a name like Macabre, how else do you do it, right?
Right. Yeah.
I love it. And I also do think that definitely when Wes was making the Scream movies he did make, that he was considering those things and probably didn't have the time to consider all of them. You know what I mean? So like that's why somebody making like breakdown videos like what you do would have more time than the director making the movie to actually consider those factors, because then you got a whole crew of people under you. I mean, you're already experiencing that as a co-director for Macabre. Shout out to Eric as well. But yeah, no, I think like the fact that just such a visceral thing you do with those videos, like you're able to essentially give another perspective to those scenes and those iconic films, right? And it's a valid perspective. It's like using your brain to meticulously consider each step. And like I see the level of work you put into it, and I don't think a lot of people know that, which is why I'm making a point to emphasize it. So I'm not at all worried that your film's going to be anything but great. Even the short's going to be great. It's all going to be great. And you have a beautiful future in filmmaking, Zach.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And just speaking on Wes Craven, he was such a detail-oriented filmmaker that it's kind of, I mean, like a lot of people will look at like what I do and just be like, that's just pure conjecture and you have no basis of this or that. But it's like, the fact of the matter is that a lot of thinking goes into, especially something like Scream. And the reason why his movies are so good is because there was that level of thought that went into it. Just like all the texture, all the nuances that you don't really find in newer things. And I don't know if that's just because the filmmakers are not capable of doing that, or just they're not really given the allowances.
I think 100% it's the fact that Wes always brought something real to the table. Okay, with Freddy Krueger, the story of what Freddy does was based on something really happening. Kids were not going to sleep and they would die from sleep deprivation and be afraid to go to sleep. And then Wes was playing with a piece of pizza with a fork, and that's how he got the face, right? Then you look at, Lee Waddell shared the story with me about the putting gasoline on puppies to get Drew Barrymore to cry. The real story about, because she's an animal rights activist, a real story about animal abuse, brought that out of the actress to give us Casey Becker's reactions. Like he always puts something real behind it, which a lot of filmmakers now, they're doing the film thing, right? But it's all fake. So they're not putting that real thing into it.
Yeah.
And Wes did it in a way that wasn't offensive. And I love that.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I think. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
it could be a myriad of factors. Like it just might be industry standards now that there's just nobody's really given a lot of allowances to get really creative, because it's just like, here we've got our timetable, we've got our budget, and just be as basic as possible. So yeah, a lot of studios nowadays don't really care about the the creativity. It's just sort of like the
No.
quantity, and that's what you see.
Or
like all
just
these
gore,
like,
gore. No substance or character, just gore. They think that's what we
yeah.
want. We don't want just gore. We want
Well,
substance and character and
yeah, I
gore.
mean, but I mean, like these like these movies that are just like specific to streaming because they
Oh,
don't
I
cost a
agree.
lot of
Most of them are shit.
money to make. Yeah, but it's sort of like that's just what people are seeing nowadays because it's convenient, because it's there. You
Yeah.
already have your Netflix subscription, so it's easier to just go watch something like this that might not be very good, didn't cost a lot of money to make, and they're able to like draw in these like big names to do them, but those are getting more traction than movies that are in the theater right now. So it's just like a lot of everything is kind of ass backwards.
Well, last time you were on here a couple years ago, I was excited for the new craze of horror, the revamp that started with Halloween 2018. Right. And now I'm like, well, now there's just a lot of shit coming out. It's back to like the early 2000s again, and not the good stuff that came out just before that. No, like straight up like the worst of the worst. I don't know. Can you think of an example? Because I can't off the top of my head, but there was a few really, really bad horror movies that came out at that time. I remember that.
Well, yeah,
like,
I mean,
Drive Through, the Killer Clown one, direct to DVD. That's one of the ones that came out around that time.
I don't really follow those direct to
yeah,
DVD
they're awful.
or video on demand ones.
Yeah, no, theatrical releases, that's legit.
Yeah, I'm very persnickety. Like I'm very hard to please, and like there's not a lot. It's not like I dislike everything that I'm seeing, but it's just like it's hard to find for me those gems, which I feel like were there was so much more in the 80s and the 90s, and even like 5-6 years ago. I feel like there was more, and now movies will come out and they'll kind of like take the country by storm, and then they just fall off, and they're never really talked about again. Like I feel like there's no cultural impact. There's nothing that's like really like people are latching onto. So things will come and they'll be completely forgotten, and then it's just like the next thing. And that's just the mentality of a lot of the industry right now. It's like this just quantity.
Hello? You still there? Zach? Oh, sorry about that, everybody. Zach's computer restarted. He shall be right back. So how's everyone doing today? Hope you're doing well. Here's a brief interruption from our podcast with Zack Cherry to bring you the Dreaming Insomniacs records. Please check out our stuff. We've got 3 projects under the record label as of right now. We've got the Dreaming Insomniacs, the band, not the record label. We've got 996, my solo project, not the record label. And we got Falafel Dragon, totally not us. That's what we have going on. And I hope you like it if you check it out. We got a brand new album with the Dreaming Insomniac called Back to Insomnia, deluxe version. We got approved for a cover license from Green Day for Macy's Day Parade, as well as an album that just came out for 996 called Wholesome Wholesomeness, which had our good friends Ivan and Chili the Bad Man featuring on that one. And Back to Insomnia is also a multi-artist collaboration. So all of these projects are. And then we have a double album for Falafel Dragon coming out on October 31st, 2024. So, yeah, that's what's going on. And I'm just waiting for Zach to rejoin. So bear with me, please. There we go. Perfect timing. Yeah, I just plugged what we have for music while you were gone. I was like, you know what? Free ad. Let's do it.
I don't know what just happened. This has never happened on my
I
computer
thought it
before.
was me.
No, well, maybe. You somehow infected my computer through
I got a MacBook Air. Probably
Wi-Fi.
not.
It's no, it just like everything froze. It went like pink and pixelated, and then it just restarted and like whoa, and it made like a little scrunchy.
My heart dropped. I was like,
there.
oh no, did my connection cut him out?
Shit, I know.
It's okay though. Again, got a free ad in there.
I mean,
Killed the time.
I hope it is. I hope nothing's up with.
When we go back and watch the playback on this one, Zach, we're gonna laugh. Trust me. It's gonna be a fun. And it's perfect because it leads right into the next topic, horror talk. So on the first piece of that, what are your expectations for Kevin Williamson directed Scream 7?
Oh man, you're gonna be so mad at me. I don't really have any. I haven't like been thinking about it.
I'm not mad at you. I don't either. And I'm not either. I just like that he's a baby again. That's cool.
It's just everything about like what's going on with Scream just feels so strange right now. Like it does. There's this like very surreal vibe going on with it that I don't. It doesn't feel real. It's
kind of like the Linkin Park situation.
What's going on with the Linkin
Park? Not going to get into that on this one. I'm having Jamie Bennington on, Chester's son, in a couple days, so that we'll talk about that then.
Yeah, I'm just I wasn't a fan of 6, and it kind of it's one of those things where the franchise has kind of lost me. I liked 5. Not as much as like the Wes Craven ones, but I felt like it was still on to something. Like it was on the right track, and 6 just didn't really do.
And 5 was a love letter to Wes. 6 was not. It was a fuck you to Wes.
Yeah. I've never thought of it as a fuck you to Wes, but
it is.
It's not. It didn't feel like a Scream movie to me, and it didn't even feel like a horror movie that, like, again, it's just like a lot of the same issues that I've had with a lot of like newer horror.
I'll give it one positive though. Ghostface was awesome. Ghostface was cool. He wasn't tripping over chairs and shit. Ghostface was badass, but it was unrealistic. So it's like, weigh out your odds and your evens, you know?
Yeah, sure. No, sorry. I'm just recalling.
I accidentally interrupted you, and I feel really rude.
No, just didn't he get like whacked with a frying pan and stuff? There was still like some clumsy moments in there, I'm sure. But
Courtney Cox.
No, the point being is like the franchise kind of lost me, and it's going to now take a new direction to kind of bring me back into it. And I'm not holding my breath. Like, I'm not sitting here being like, yeah, Scream 7, like this is like make it or break it sort of thing. Like, I'll always watch these movies. Not that I don't care if there's never a good one again, but I have my original trilogy. Like that's fine for me. I'd rather see new horror movies. Like I'd rather like new properties be coming out and doing that rather than these reboots, requels of other things. So with Kevin Williamson, like I'm interested, like I'm intrigued for sure. I can't think really right now what this kind of like new direction is going to be. And like Sydney's going to be in it and prominently featured, as that's really the extent of what I know. And she's got her kids. But that's kind of all I haven't really been reading or listening to anything that's been going on. I don't even know if there's any truth to any of those things anyway. But there is like something a little bittersweet about it, because essentially what this will be is just another reboot of the franchise, which, we already had with 5. So now it's kind of made 5 and 6 pointless.
And gives us three reboots and one consistent timeline of a franchise.
Yeah.
And that is a
are you
slap in the face to
are you
Wes's
considering
legacy because it was so
4?
consistent. It was the most consistent horror franchise, and now it's not.
Sorry, you lost me there. So is 4 the first reboot?
It is. It's a
Okay.
reboot. Rules of a
I mean,
reboot. It's a
I
line
always
of the movie.
considered, yeah, I always considered 4 kind of like
A one-off.
almost like a, well, yeah, it's kind of become a one-off, but almost like a an epilogue to the trilogy. Just like, oh, and
I
then
like
and then
4. I
this
don't love it.
happened.
You know?
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Yeah.
But yeah, with just in more recent years, with 5 coming out and that kind of being a reboot and putting so much stock into these characters, and
then just to drop
again,
them because of something that Melissa said on social media that wasn't offensive, that was ridiculous.
Well, beyond that, it's like you've committed to these characters and to this world, and I feel like there was so much potential for them. I don't think that it was really fulfilled in 6, but if 7 were to come out and it was to be like a Sam and Tara movie, I could still kind of see, okay, 6 is like maybe a bridge to that, even though like everything that happened in 6 was kind of verbatim the same character beats in 5. The only difference, like if you're like looking at like the sisters of the kind of like the heart of it all, in 5 their whole thing was, you left me and you haven't called or had a relationship with me in 5 years or whatever, like it's like this abandonment thing that Tara had. And then in 6 they basically just do, it's like the same emotional beats, but this time Tara's like, you're way too clingy, like give me some space. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense. Like it's just like,
yeah, there's no middle ground for Tara.
Yeah, it's like a complete 180 from like where they were going with the characters before, and it's just all they're doing is hitting the same emotional beat. So it's like they had the template and they just copied and pasted it for 6. So I was hoping, like with 7, that they were really going to do something special with these characters and kind of like fulfill this trilogy and have like a really epic finale to it. And now that's just not happening. So we're kind of, we're back to the drawing board. And and you know how the studios are. They don't want to just do 1. They're going to want to do 3. Like they're going to want to do a whole thing. And then they're going to want to do, like, I heard rumors, and I don't know how true these are. I hope they're not. They're just like, yeah, we're going to have spinoffs with Hayden Panettiere, and there's going to be a tie-in TV series. And at that point, it's like, stop. Just let it die. You need to just let it go.
So right now, it's in the hands of the creator of the franchise, whether it makes it or breaks it. It's up to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see you're wearing your Ghostface merch. I'm wearing mine too. It's just
nice.
I had to take it off my foot. So
you have to take off your socks to show us.
Yes, nice. I did do that. But yeah, no, really, it's up to Kevin if he wants to fix his baby. It's really what I've heard for rumors are good if they're real, but I don't know if they're real. If the rumor about Mark Kincaid being the opening scene and being the motivation for Sydney to be badass and kill fucking Ghostface once and for all and be that'd be the end of it, cool. I'm for that. Not what you just said. I hope those rumors are not true. That is weird. That's just cash grab, money hungry bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't like it. That's not what you do to Scream. Not our favorite franchise over here. Come on. No, please don't do that.
So here's a question for you. If they had, because when 5 was announced, people were really excited because it's like, yeah, we're getting new Scream movies. And now with where we're at, because I mean, it sounds like you and I are on the same page of like we were disappointed by 6, 5. We're contented with it.
Yeah, I'm content. But even with my script issues.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a lot. But I mean, like, do you look at it now and just feel like, I wish that we had never even gotten the new movies if it was going to go in this direction? Or do you feel...
I wish we didn't get a direct sequel a year later. Not only that, but the fact that, we got this whole thing with Linkin Park and Mike Shinoda connected to Scientology, and he did the lead song for that movie. I don't know, kind of ruins it for me. I'd prefer to watch Scream 5 over 6. I'll probably never watch 6 again.
Yeah,
it just
I can't say I'll never watch any of them again because, like, curiosity.
No, I'll watch the rest of them. I'm just done with 6.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I don't get a lot of rewatchability out of it.
Mm-mm.
But it's like one of those movies, and like I said, this is a lot of movies nowadays where you'll put it on and you just get to a point like, oh, I just like I'm kind of watching it play out. I'm not really like kind of engrossed in the experience of it. It's just like, oh, and then this happens, and then this happens, and I know
Mm-hmm.
the rest. Like I can sit here right now and I can look forward to the entire trajectory of this and know every turn it's going to take, because it's just like it's almost like it just feels like written to a point where it's just like it's so easy. And I don't get that from the earlier ones. Like I don't get that from the Wes Craven ones, because like he actually took time to kind of marinate in the moment, and just like like there's so many little flourishes here and there that kind of are the DNA of the movie. And like like scenes, like I'm just thinking off of the top of my head right now, in the first movie, when Sydney comes home from that first day of school, and there's just like the news report, and just like her kind of like we're discovering about her trauma, and there's this beautiful sunset that's happening, and she falls asleep on the couch, and there's like, was there something in the closet? There was like a noise. Again, it's like these little details, but everything about that is just like, it's so picturesque, like just the scenery of like behind her house and all that, just like all these things that make the movie watchable. So when I sit down and I watch Scream, even though I know like, okay, the next scene, like Ghostface is going to call, and then she's going to get attacked, and then the cops are going to show up, and then they're going to be at the police station, I don't really think like ahead. I'm like, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen. I'm more so like in the moment. And I think that that's what Wes Craven did really successfully with his Scream movies that weren't really done with the new ones. Cause it's like, I'm not having a good time in any of these moments. Like I'm not, and that's not to say that they're not competently made. I think that it is a very competently made,
very well shot
movie.
very well shot.
There's a lot to 5 and 6 that like, like kind of get lost in like a lot of my criticisms that do deserve the accolades that they get, because
Judy's daytime kill. Oh, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene, that one was actually good. Scream 6 was missing anything like that. Building intrigue, setting it up. Like, I don't know. I just think like Scream 6, you're right. I don't enjoy the moment to moment, and it just feels like it's a streamlined thing.
It's a lot of with 6, to just kind of put a cap on this. So
feels like a subway ride.
It feels like a lot of the action that's happening in 6 is kind of like, if you were to relay the like a plot synopsis to someone, you would be saying like, this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. Whereas like a really like well-written movie is going to be like this happens, so then because of that, this happens as a result,
and this also happens,
which then causes this to happen.
Yes.
So there's like a cause and effect. It's like a domino effect of things happening, and that is, like you could look at like Scream 1 or Scream 2 or 3, even 4, and it's like that's what's happening. With 6 specifically, it's like we just want to get all these really exciting set pieces in there where we're gonna like really build up suspense, which I don't find the suspense to be that like it didn't really kind of like last like beyond the first rewatch. So when I see these now, I'm like, okay, nothing that's happening here in the bodega is really going to affect anything that happens for the rest of the movie, and nothing is really strung together in a way that like makes sense or just feels like very strategic on anyone's part, whether it be like the writing or the characters. And yeah, like that's mostly why I don't find it to be very enthralling or rewatchable, because of things like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not that good of a movie. The whole this happens and then this happens and then this happens. I mean, that's the sign of a bad script. Sorry, but it is. And what you were describing about that scene at Sydney's house in Scream 1, shot in the beautiful Santa Rosa, California.
Yeah.
That scene, what you described there, perfectly explains why that is my favorite movie of all time. Now, I don't even think Scream's my favorite horror movie or my favorite Scream movie at this point. I think Scream 2 is my favorite Scream movie. But my favorite movie of all time, my top number one movie across the board is Scream 1. And it's for that. And it's throughout the whole movie. It's not just like Scream 1 has flaws, like Scream 6 has flaws, right? It's not a perfect movie. There's like times you can see the gray flaps and the retractable. Clearly, it's a retractable in the opening scene, a bunch of other shit. But you know what? I can look past all of that for that excellent writing and storytelling that both Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven together brought to the table for that film.
Right.
And I don't think they've been able to capture it since, really. I mean,
and
Scream
I think
2
a lot
is
of
my
that
favorite
happens.
still, you know?
I think a lot of that is kind of again, going back to the industry, it's because, you know, writers aren't allotted enough time to work on these. So there's just like, you know, like they've been contracted, like come in here, this is the movie that we want, write it now. Or they have to like write an entire script because they can't do a pitch. They're just like, just write the script, send it to us, and then they're going to have their notes. But there's not really a lot of opportunities to rewrite it, and they're not paying them to rewrite it either. I mean, if like the writer's strike has from last year has like shown us anything, it's just that like writers are not being respected. So it's not necessarily a fact that like it's just bad writing because of the talent behind it. It's just that nobody, like, there's no patience. There's like studios are just like just get it out there.
Well, not only that, but then look at Scream 3. It wasn't just Aaron Kruger that rewrote it for the movie we got. Wes was writing it on the fly as they were shooting, right? Also, Radio Silence were not involved at all in the writing process for the last two Scream movies, which I don't blame them for the script issues. I blame Vanderbilt. He wrote Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. He also like he's written a lot of shit. Ambulance, Michael Bay's movie from 2022, awful film. I've never seen worse dialogue written by somebody. Why is he allowed to work? You know what? I want James Vanderbilt's job. I can write better than him. Sorry. But it's Vanderbilt.
Ambulance, but yeah, all right.
It's Vanderbilt. It's absolutely his awful writing. He should never have gotten the job for Scream. But you know what? It's better than the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Be honest about that. Who I did say on our first podcast.
That's a rough set, yeah.
I said on our first podcast, fuck you to the director. And he also directed the Smells Like Teen Spirit video for Nirvana and Green Day's American Idiot. All the music videos for American Idiot. And I commented on because it's 20 years since American Idiot this year. Yeah. I commented on one of his posts recently. He was very nice to me. So I want to take that fuck you back. I just don't like his Nightmare remake.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like these are human beings.
Yeah, right.
You know, people have, you know, like their feelings, and they have egos as well. And I mean, that's part of the business, is that, you know, you put work out there, you have to expect criticism and, you know, praise as well. So it's one of those things. But I never would like judge the character of a person based on like the material that they've written. Like that's not fair.
And that was wrong of me to say that. I was immature for saying that, and I wanted to address that on this podcast. So I'm glad I did. I'm also like in business with Green Day, so it's not a good idea to ever talk shit about the guys who've only helped.
You're in business with Green Day.
Yeah, their coffee company endorsed us. Their mix engineer responded to me at the show I just went to as they were taking down, as we left, about, you know, the video I got and everything. And then when I sent it to them, because funnily enough, they sounded so good, it copyright claimed Wake Me Up When September Ends. I didn't get a strike or anything, but it sounded so good that YouTube's Content ID thought it was their performance from 2005 for the Bullet in the Bible movie. And I told him that. He sent 3 mind-blown emojis. And the other day, last week, he was actually on my birthday, I messaged him. It's like, hey, Chris, having a great birthday. Made it past the 27 club. And I was like, it would be more than an honor to have you on, since I started audio engineering school because of you, and yada, yada, yada. Of course, when you're on a break from touring, when you have the time, no worries. Thank you for everything. And you rock, man. And it took him a couple days because, you know, Green Day is on a huge tour right now, doing Dookie and American Idiot and other songs. And he essentially said to me that let him get off tour because he's going to shut off his phone for a couple weeks, and then essentially he's going to get back to me, which means it's a yes maybe, not a no maybe. So I mean, that's technically that's in business with Green Day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's the reason why I
No,
started
it's
music. It's not
no.
like I'm not gonna like gloat about it. It's cool. It's cool.
No, absolutely it is. You should be proud of that.
Well, it's full circle. We started as a Green Day cover band. The first Dreaming Insomniacs rehearsal in my buddy Nick Witcher's basement in Bridgewater, Massachusetts was we played Longview. That was our first song. Me, Steven Spacey, Cody Markley, and Max Zawitt. All four of us. We were the original lineup.
There you go.
Never talked about that here before. All right. So if you could rewrite Scream 5 and 6, what would you fix? Mic drop.
Just like one thing, like, because I couldn't.
Anything.
Honestly.
All of it. If you want to share all of it. There's a lot of things I know. Because same.
Yeah, 5. I mean, just specifically, like probably like you could clean up the continuity a little bit. I think that it would have been like keep the killers the same. Like that's totally fine. But I think that Kyle Gallner's character probably could have played a bigger role in the film. And I think that what it should have been, rather than him being this ex-boyfriend of Liv, who is kind of like an inconsequential character, like you probably could have just like written her out of the movie altogether, is to have made him like Amber's ex-boyfriend and make the Stu's house at the end actually his house, and he's having a party there, which makes sense because he is the nephew of Stu, so it's like his family's house.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it would make all the sense in the world. So, and then you kind of keep him around like he's a sketchy character. You've got a red herring just
very
sitting there
good
waiting to do red herring shit, and like that would have, by that very nature, made things a little bit like made them more mysterious, kind of like misdirected us more, and it would have made sense. It just would have made sense by the very nature of what Woodsboro is and like who these characters are and who they're related to.
I didn't guess Richie though. They did a good job with that. Even though it's the same thing as the first movie, the boyfriend being the killer, I still didn't guess it because he's so fucking nice. And then it's like, whoa, that was good. I liked that. I wouldn't change that either. The killer.
Yeah,
but no, you're right.
The fake niceness, yeah. But I guess good. Like for I mean, I'd have to like go over the movie.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Know everything, but that's just that. And then with 6, I mean, with 6, it's like the main thing is like if you're not going to film, like I get that they're not filming in New York is expensive. So there was no way that they were going to film in New York. Like if filming in New York was accessible, Jason Takes Manhattan would have taken place in New York. But it would have been nice if there was like a commitment to the setting. Every Scream movie previous, like I guess 1, 4, and 5 take place in Woodsboro, but Scream 2 taking place at college, Scream 3 taking place in Hollywood. Those were contextual to the locations, like the locations actually played a part in the story that was being told. With 6, New York was really inconsequential. Like they could have been anywhere. They could have been in any city. They didn't even have to be in a city necessarily. So it kind of it felt like, well, you're just setting it in New York to like really push the promotion of it all. And that's what kind of felt very disingenuous to me about the movie, because it's like the Big Apple, there's like the knife in the apple and like all this stuff. And it's felt like, you see the movie and like, this isn't like, nothing about this is New York, even that it's not filmed in New York, but like the fact that they're not even really taking advantage of any locations or potentials for anything, like besides the subway. And honestly, the subway was probably one of what I felt was the more better executed parts of the movie. But even then, I felt that there was like, the subway was a very missed opportunity to create misdirection and actually kill a character off or do something that
they could have.
Yeah, for instance, they could have. Since they got separated, and what I think would have been made more sense and had been smarter if the people on the first train were to get off, like when they realize, oh shit, like Mindy's on the next one, get off the train, wait for her, and then the train pulls up and they get on and they see her dead there. And it's like, okay, there's stakes. Like actual like friends of ours are being killed off here rather than just like nobodies, which is another huge gripe with that movie. But just to do something, like I just like none of the set pieces really had any stakes at all. The bodega, the sisters are in danger. Nobody even gets a scratch.
There's no stakes, no tension.
I guess the girlfriend, like Mindy's girlfriend, died in the latter one. So there was that, but like nothing happened.
That was
from,
pretty
like,
all right, but it was just more brutal than it was.
Yeah,
well
like Gail survived her thing. Mindy survived the subway. It's just like nothing. It's just like they're just stuff is happening, but nothing. But it's not really. There's no consequence from any.
I also think like that whole ladder scene was just taking the scene from Scream 4 where Olivia's being murdered in the window and just putting a ladder there. It's literally taking a scene from a better Wes Craven Scream movie and just changing a thing and adding a thing and then just adding gore, which screams studio-made film. You know what I mean? It doesn't scream people made this.
Well, it's just like it's another thing that you think about. Like, is that the solution? Like, it almost like it caused more danger for them than it actually helped, because all they could have done was simply just blocked the door and waited for the cops to arrive. So it's like it goes back to the logic, and this is, you know, when Eric and I are writing, you know, we'll have arguments with each other because we'll be like, well, that doesn't make any sense, and then we'll like point out, because if that was how you wanted to do it, this would just happen, or this could happen. And we're like, yeah, that's a good point. So we're like,
we're just bringing logic to the script that has none.
Yeah, we're constantly just making sure, just like, well, yeah, if you were in the situation like in the apartment in Scream, I mean, there's a lot of logistical questions to ask in the first case of just like how like Ghostface even being in there to begin with, the fact that like the two
how did he get in?
Yeah, the two killers.
And then, she has the gun. She could take him out. How does he end up on the ground with her, on top of her, almost in stabbing her, almost killing her? Like that. I love Courtney Cox and I love Gail. I do not like that scene because it's stupid.
Joe, I'm talking about the first apartment scene.
I'm a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. My brain went to the apartment scene later on and Gail's apartment, but also issues with that too.
But look at that. That's like, now we're just like the fact that we're confusing two set pieces. There's an apartment set piece and an
signs of a bad script.
Like, there's more in New York City than this. And I remember hearing something, because they were asked like, why didn't you do more with New York? And they're like, well, we didn't want us to be like the tourist New York Scream movie. We wanted to just be like, well, then just it's any town. So
yeah, I agree with you on that.
I just got to be honest. I can't.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page.
I can't bullshit. I'm not a good bullshitter.
Well, we did talk about Scream 6 the last time you came on, I believe. Oh wait, no, was it before Scream 6? You came on in the last time you came on was August of 22, I think. So no, we haven't. We talked about your excitement for Scream 6, but this was before Halloween Ends.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That face, screenshot that face that I just made. That's my Halloween Ends face.
You don't like Halloween Ends, hey?
I don't. I mean, I like it if it wasn't a Halloween movie. I don't like it for one specific reason. Once again, script issues. It's the whole ending of kills. Like, the more he kills, the more powerful he gets. So you're telling me that this dipshit Corey Cunningham just goes into the cave, beats the shit out of Michael Myers, takes his mask, and starts killing people? Oh, fuck that. That's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the new trilogy at all. Like, I don't think that it's like as a trilogy, it's just it doesn't work.
This is what happens when you get the director of Pineapple Express to make Halloween, and you let Danny McBride write, no, thank you. I will take Halloween Resurrection and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 over those three movies any day. Sorry to interrupt. Just saying.
No, I still think that Resurrection is at the bottom of the barrel.
It's funny though. It's hilarious.
Trick or treat,
motherfucker. I love it.
I don't find it like
No, it's
particularly
bad.
funny.
It's a
But
bad movie.
yeah, but it's bad in a way that is like it's just disrespectfully bad.
Yeah, you're right. You're not
Because
wrong.
there's again, like with the studio, it's just like it's a lack of any regard to a fan base whatsoever. It's just like,
Yep.
we're gonna make this. I'm not sure what the budget is. It's probably a lot more than what the movie looks like. But they just cut corners and did whatever. It's like, hey, what's hot right now? Like reality TV,
Yes.
found footage. Let's do all these things. There's not really a script. Like, you could watch Resurrection and you could be like halfway through and just like, what is actually this about? And
there's no plot.
You don't have an answer to that. Whereas I feel like at least with the new ones there is, and they look amazing. Like they look great.
Yeah, they do look great.
Personally, Halloween Ends is my favorite of the three.
Okay.
Because I find that it has the most teeth in terms of just like storytelling. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, but at least they tried to layer it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They tried to layer it, make it expand.
I really don't like the fact that, like, because what it is, it's like Halloween Ends is a really good example of too many cooks in the kitchen, because you got 4 writers on there, and I don't know how Ends came about. I know that wasn't the original trajectory.
I'm sure it wasn't.
Whatever the third movie was going to be, and all
COVID
of a sudden
caused a lot of issues with the making of that trilogy too. We have to remember that.
But all of a sudden, someone came up with like, oh, let's kind of sideline Michael and do this Corey storyline, and they're like, yeah, let's do that. And if they had committed to that, I would have been like, I probably would have been even more favorable towards the movie if like they had just committed to Corey the entire way in. But then
that's my other issue.
Yeah, the very last scene, they're just like, okay, now let's just take Corey out like he's nothing, and now here comes Michael for this, like, final showdown. And it's like, this is just, it's inconsistent. It's like 2 movies in one. And
not only that, but they showed that whole final showdown in the trailer. So it's like, what are your marketing people doing?
Well, the thing, like, the creatives don't have any control over the marketing, which is another huge issue. Yeah, which is a huge issue with the industry. But it's for me, like, Halloween, it's funny now because like it's like pick and choose what your like which I guess timeline is your timeline, because I don't think that there's a win in any of them. I mean, that's not true. I actually prefer the 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I know that 6, like, it ends really, like, it's just kind of ridiculous and does the whole like cults and that thing, but I like 6. I think that it's I think that it's a competently made movie. The kills are really good. Like, it's very intense.
Michael Myers is scary in that movie.
He's very scary. The cinematography is excellent. It's
that hospital scene with the machete.
There's not any other movies that look like Halloween 6 in the franchise. Like the lighting is extraordinary. It's really the script, and it's because it was just, again, I don't think that the original script that was written was all that good, but because the studio came in, they're like, we have to fix this. It's kind of like a nothing, like a going nowhere story.
Zach, you know what the original script's title was, right?
Yeah, the
Halloween 666, The Origin of Evil, or some shit like that. It was an awful title.
Michael Myers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful title.
Thank you for reminding me. But like, as a trilogy or as like a timeline, I guess I find that more palatable of like all those movies, because I really love 5. 5 is just a good time for me, and
5 is fun.
4 is a very easy movie to watch and enjoy. Like, there's really, like, it's pretty basic, and I mean that in a good way. Yeah, but it's like, I can do 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I think in the grand scheme of things, like, it's safe. Can
I be honest,
like 5 and 6, obviously. What?
The first time I watched the franchise, I thought I did not know that Halloween H2O was separate. So I thought it went Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6, H2O, Resurrection.
Yeah.
So it's because I didn't know that, though. Like they go together. You can watch all of those movies in a line, and there will be
Yeah.
things that don't make sense, but they will
It's
work if you watch
but
them like
that
that.
yeah, that was my experience, because I'm just like, wait a minute, like they're and that's, you know, when we get to Resurrection 2 and that clown in the asylum at the beginning is like listing
That
off
was
all the
awful.
people he killed, and it's just like you're missing like the entire franchise. But even as this timeline, you're getting your facts mixed up. But that's the other
Yeah,
one, like, you know, like with this timeline, 1, 2, H2O, Resurrection, like Resurrection just kills it for a lot of people. Like most people will say 1, 2, H2O is like their perfect thing, but it like has to stop there.
if you look
And
at
then now you look at like 2018 kills ends, and it's just like, what is that? Why was
yeah,
2 erased from the timeline? Like, I don't think that getting rid of 2
it's because
served
of the
them.
line about them being brother and sister that John
Yeah.
Carpenter regrets writing when he was drunk, which I believe. I believe it. Oh, what do I do? They're brother and
Well,
sister. You know what I
think
mean?
that I don't think that he regrets anything, because he's been paid very handsomely from this franchise, and he
Yeah,
knows
I
it, and
know.
he's admitted it. I think creatively he's like, I think we should have just stopped after the first one, and that's what
I
he would
think
have
he's
wanted.
right.
But yeah, I do too. I think that, I mean, I really love Halloween 2.
Yeah,
Like
me
the
too,
original
actually.
one.
Yeah.
Is it a perfect
More of the
movie?
night he came home.
No. Yeah, like no, it's not. There's
I love
not really a lot
Halloween
of
3 also.
substance. There's not a lot of substance to it, but
No.
it's still like there's a consistency from 1 to 2, and I can take that. And then I'm with you. Like Halloween 3 is excellent, and that's, I kind of like just sort of the tone and consistency of those 3 movies together, because that feels like it's the hand of John Carpenter
Yeah.
is in all 3 of those. And
I
then
really do
once
think
Halloween
John
4 starts, it's just like it's not. It's like
no. Still has
everything
the
looks
atmosphere
very
and vibe, but not John.
well. It's a completely different atmosphere and vibe. It's like
It
there's
has a
almost like a
Halloween
made for
atmosphere.
TV. Yeah, but it's like there's just like the scope of everything just feels like scaled back.
Yeah.
We're not getting those like wides and like just like what was present in the first 3, or like pretty much any John Carpenter movie. So it's,
Yeah.
you know, that's something that, you know, like that's why it doesn't, like, I'm not in love with it. But had the franchise been what John Carpenter and Deborah Hill originally wanted, was just like the first Halloween, and like, okay, we're just going to do an anthology now. So it's going to be Season of the Witch, and then whatever the next thing was going to be. I think that would have been amazing. And the fact of the matter is, like, they're never going to go back to that. They've got Michael Myers. So it's
and
like,
this has a cult following. People want it. People actually want it now. I will say, like, for me, like, people shit on Halloween 3 so much, and now it has a cult following, which is great. But my point on it is, like, if you really look at it, like, look into the making of it, I believe it was the guy who did the one on Blair Witch 2, Good Bad Flicks, has a video on it for the making of Season of the Witch. And they had, like, a very high-regarded science fiction writer on the script. And at the end of it, he didn't want to be credited. And like Tommy Lee Wallace was like the fall guy for that movie. Yeah, John Carpenter has a writing credit on it, but I think he directed it. That feels like a John Carpenter movie. I've seen Tommy Lee Wallace's films. I've watched that It TV movie so many times. Those are not the same director. That's a John Carpenter film that Tommy Wallace was the fall guy for credit.
Pretty much.
And I love it. I love that movie.
It's the same with 2, where like Rick Rosenthal is credited as the director, but so much of John Carpenter went back and like the reshoots and everything. So it's like,
what did Rick Rosenthal make without John Carpenter though? Later on, what did he direct later on in the franchise? We've already talked about it.
Yeah, Resurrection.
Yeah, without John Carpenter. Yeah. So there you go. That's how we know. There's like literal proof throughout the timeline of Halloween that shows that. It's so hard to be a fan of Halloween with how broken that franchise is. I like what Rob Zombie tried to do. At least he tried to do something different, you know? Give him props for that.
I much prefer his sequel to the...
Because of how original it is. Yeah, it's great.
Remake,
it's great.
Yeah. Well,
I hated it for years, but now I love it for a weird original reason.
She was weird, and I don't love it, but I mean, I can tolerate it. There's a lot that like just I find very unappealing about it.
Well, Michael
But
Myers
like
yelling "die." I don't love that. I don't love homeless Michael. I don't love a lot of things about it, but there's things about it that I do really like the cinematography and the atmosphere, and how like you kind of want all the characters to die, because no other Halloween movie like really had that. There was always one person I at least liked. So it did something different. You know what I mean? The White Horse thing was weird. I don't like that either. I thought that was dumb.
No,
I don't know.
Wrong franchise.
Yeah. But I mean, that's wrong franchise, right? So why did Rob put that into Halloween? Like, come on. But no, I mean, I still would prefer to watch the David Gordon Green trilogy over Rob Zombie's 2, though. Like, I would rather sit down and watch those 3 compared to those other 2 movies. It's just based on characters. Every single character Rob Zombie writes in his films is like a redneck trash character.
Yeah.
And just he's like not a good guy from what I've heard. So it's like I don't really
Rob
care.
Zombie.
Yeah, he's from Massachusetts. He's from Haverhill. I'm from East Bridgewater. Okay. I worked Rockville 2022. Okay, I worked Evanescence's stage. I Prevail opened. They were amazing. Crowd, people in the audience were telling me about the day before about how Rob Zombie threw a fucking temper tantrum on stage, screaming at crew because his projectors wouldn't work. Dude's getting paid multi-million dollars to play Welcome to Rockville, and he's gonna fucking throw a tantrum and act like a child. Guess what? Didn't come back in 2024. Wasn't allowed. So that's what he gets. He's going around saying I was a victim of Harvey Weinstein. Bro, come on. Rose McGowan's a survivor of Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein gave Rob Zombie some shit when they were making the movies. That's different. Okay, that's not the same thing. I don't like.
It's a strange thing to say. I haven't,
I was emotionally abused by Harvey Weinstein. That's what he said on Harvey Mandel's podcast.
I just know the John Carpenter interview, or when he's at the con and they're asking
I love what he said.
What he feels, and he's just like, well, he's a piece of shit because he lied or whatever. And I'm just like, all right. And I believe John Carpenter. That's the thing. Like John Carpenter has no reason to like John Carpenter has never lied in his life. Like he's the kind
who has a more credible repertoire of films. Yeah. And then who writes the same characters for every single movie he makes. Really look at it. It's really easy to see. I trust the more credible filmmaker.
But beyond like the body of work, like John Carpenter is like he doesn't he doesn't tiptoe around how he really feels about things. Like back like when they were making Halloween, there's archival footage interviews of him just saying how he doesn't really like Steven Spielberg as a filmmaker. And it's like, this is someone who's just like, he's just saying this in 1978, like, after the success of Jaws, just like, this is just how I feel. Like there's no reason for John Carpenter
that takes balls to say that though.
He's never lied back then. Why would he start lying now?
No, I love it. Well, on the Halloween topic, what do you think of the possible Halloween TV series coming? Do you think they're actually going to do it? And what do you think they're going to do with it? I don't know.
Oh my God, I hate it.
What
could you do? What could you do
you can't.
At this point? I think
just let it die. That's
Halloween. Halloween needs to just go away. Like I think it should just be done. I don't think that we need any more Halloween movies. I can't. I just. There's always like going to be the good intentions of someone coming along being like, let's try this again, let's do this again, and they may very well do a really successful reboot and something that's good, but then there's going to be more that follow, and like from there it's just gonna it's gonna be studio interference. It's going to be all this. Like I think that we are at a precipice right now in the horror genre and in the industry where we could start making new film projects and put more stock into that and start being excited about what's on the horizon. Very much like, like when we were back in the 80s, when that was the real golden era of the horror genre, where you were getting all of these now classic movies that were just being produced and coming out. And there was no end to them, and there was just so many good ones that people still watch and enjoy today, to that point where they're remaking them and making reboots and requels and all that. So at this point, this is just more of a detriment to the genre that they just want to keep going back and trying to do Halloween over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it's not giving future generations the opportunity to have good reboots of movies that come out now, because there's nothing original that's really coming out that's like going to warrant like, oh, we're getting like a new Thanksgiving, for example. I was trying to think of a holiday themed horror that's more contemporary, but it's just like, do you know what I mean? It's like we're getting to a point where it's just going to be like the 60th anniversary of Halloween. We're getting a new Halloween movie rather than a 20 anniversary of something that came out in the 2020s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So, just focus
then,
on
like you were saying, it goes over original films like Macabre. We need Macabre to grow to get to that franchise level.
We do need.
You know what I mean? Because if it aren't for projects like this, then we're not changing this industry that needs to be changed, and it's going to crash and burn. You can't just keep recapturing lightning in a bottle. It's not going to happen. It doesn't work like that. It's not the creative process. Joe,
like we're not writing Macabre with the intention of like creating a franchise. Like even just like thinking about it, I don't know how it could be a franchise. If it were to become one, great. Like I'll be John Carpenter. I'll like take the paycheck and just be
you could
sure, whatever. I don't know that if it's going to be good, but like sure.
You could take the Halloween 3 approach and do an anthology, so that way you can do your own consolidated stories for each film, and still have it be the theme of Macabre, right? Yeah. But do something different on every one. That could be a way to franchise it. It's just an idea. But the fact that you're in the creative process and not considering that, they weren't considering. They were like, even Nev Campbell jokes around, and she says like, we were making the first movie and we like joked around like, do you think this will be a costume at Halloween? They all laughed. No. Like it's just like that, and that's the way you're supposed to think when you're creating it, because you're not trying to make something that's financially gained, right? You're looking to make something that's from the place of your heart and from a place of love, and that matters more than money.
Exactly.
And you still made $50,000 just on the Kickstarter for the short, so it's going somewhere. It's going, and please support Macabre.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here, man.
Well, the Kickstarter is over right now, but we'll probably have but just for anyone listening, we'll probably
just by support I meant for people to watch it and stuff and follow the page, and
we will probably have a follow-up Kickstarter campaign. So like Joe said, follow these socials, Macabre the movie on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you'll get updates on when that's coming.
Cool. All right. And do you have time for a couple more questions, or do you want to wrap it up now?
Yeah, throw them at me.
Cool. Do you have a favorite Dario Argento film?
It's Tenebrae.
Second favorite, because I already know your first favorite. You've shared that.
It's Deep Red.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
What makes?
How about you?
Wait, what?
How about you?
I honestly haven't. Am
I allowed to like turn the tables on you and ask you questions?
I mean, you can. I'm cool with it. I haven't seen. You're gonna hate me, but I haven't seen any of Dario Argento's films yet. I just haven't had the time to like sit down and like check it out, because I know it takes a mind. Yeah. It takes you to pay attention, and I want to do that. I want to actually dedicate the time.
There's a lot going on the screen. Yeah, you gotta. There's a lot to visually take in.
Right, and I want to be clear-headed and be prepared for that. But maybe this week I'll check one out. I mean, my lady loves horror movies, so we can watch one, and I'll let you know.
There you go. Yeah.
And what makes Scream 2 your favorite in the franchise? Like I said, I wrote in my notes, I'm coming around on that one, but I've already said that it's definitely my favorite in the Scream franchise, even though Scream 1's my favorite movie ever.
Yeah, I know it's confusing, I think that it's just there's a theatricality about it that is so much more heightened than the original, that I just really like, feel keyed into. Like it just really speaks to me. There's just like there's so much more drama. Everything is more intense in a way.
That scene in the studio,
it's more
is scary.
Great chase
still. Yeah. Where Gail's like, and Dewey gets stabbed, and she can't hear him through the The soundproof glass. Oh my god, that's still scary.
Yeah.
That's actually scary. People say
Very
those
good.
anything past the first movie isn't scary. There's a scary scene right there.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie, and the finale's great. The theater stuff.
They're
Ghostface
my
was actually
favorite
there for
killers.
that, right?
Yeah.
Ghostface was actually there for that. That wasn't just a hallucination, right?
Oh, and the Cassandra. Yeah, no, that was. I guarantee it was him.
Because I've seen it over 100 times, and I see a
him
guy running away.
Spin around, and he runs away. Yeah.
Yes. So he was really there. And then Derek did say that he switched with Mickey, so it would make sense why Mickey would be in costume on the stage doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
It's all,
Wes did think
there.
about this
Yeah.
stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite band?
Suede.
Huh?
Suede.
I've never heard of them before. Are they good?
Yeah, they're excellent. English group.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love me some English music. That's great.
Yeah.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've never heard of them. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'll send you.
I'm the audio engineer. I should know.
Yeah.
You still have the CD that we gave you?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad that made me feel really good.
You. Appreciate it.
It's not around, is it? Like you wouldn't be able to show it?
I don't have it. No, and I would have to.
I'm not gonna make you get up and dig for it.
It's in my thing back. You can't see on the other side of my camera there. It's just like all my stuff.
I love that. That made my day. The fact that that's not our best record, but you held on to it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I have one more for you, and that is there any plugs, shout outs, etc. that you'd like to give to anybody?
No, I mean, just really all of my cohorts on Macabre. So I could run through everyone's name, but I feel like I might leave someone out. But we'll just say Eric, Champy, Randy Baruso is our executive producer. Our cast, we got China Peruccio, Siobhan Hampton, and Harvey Lipman. Dylan Goodwin, our assistant director. Isaiah Providence, our director of photography. Matthew Tarian, who did the key art. He illustrated the poster for Macabre.
I love it.
Yeah. I get, there's so many names. It's a dangerous thing to start going through them because
I know.
Yeah,
that's why I always save it for last. You know,
everyone who's attached to Macabre right now, everyone who's supported it and who's working on it.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
So if you want to stay with the thing right after, I'll just close this out real quick. Once again, thank you to everyone for listening and watching the Dreaming Insomniacs with our lovely guest Zack Cherry. Third time's a charm. We love you, Zack. Thank you for coming back. We'd love to have you on again soon. And bye, everyone.